Along with Ethereum, which is pumping, there are a ton of other projects that the majority of people who continue to use GPU mining will also keep pumping. Examples of these projects are Ergo Flux, Ethereum, Classic, etc. We'll discuss some of the specifics behind the new proposed merge date of September 19th, which is a different date, as it's getting closer and the ramifications will be seen much sooner. And there's something more that happens when you make bad choices. Then you become angry with other individuals for calling your bad choices out. And at That Boy Crypto, this is the current situation. And the main problem that developed had to do with another YouTuber who had sued him, saying things like, "Sometimes you've got to take it as a man." Maybe that's why he's called BitBoy instead of Batman. But I'm getting off topic now. And when it comes to the top cryptos in this market, Cardano was chosen by 22 people as being the one that is most in touch with intimacy, or more specifically, an intimate relationship between the customer and the company itself, ahead of even cryptocurrencies like Bitcoin or Ethereum. We'll look at that story as well. And matched up against there with the likes ahead of Nestle, the chocolate and other brands in the area very similarly ranked to like Amazon is pretty strange. But there are a lot of topics to discuss in this area today. I only ask that you smash up the like button and, if you haven't already, subscribe. As it stands now, the market as a whole is obviously kind of just stale right now, not really going up or down, but it has slightly recovered. For example, take a look at Bitcoin, which has definitely recovered from a low of under 21,000 and a low of about 28 a couple of days ago. This recovery is nothing too crazy, but it has just slowly started grinding its way back up. There are many things that people are anticipating, especially following this Fed's conference in Jackson Hole. What will this imply for Bitcoin specifically, and what will result from it? It will undoubtedly be quite a big deal. I can assure you that one of the subjects that will be discussed at this conference will be Bitcoin, despite the fact that it is primarily an academic gathering of 120 of the world's best central bankers, economists, and policymakers. And the issue is that there are so many people with various opinions on whether and to what extent regulation of Bitcoin is necessary. Therefore, it goes without saying that topic will be discussed during this entire event. And, of course, institutional investors are paying attention. Many funds are looking to invest in Bitcoin, and most recently, BlackRock, the largest asset manager in the world with over $10 trillion in assets, was said to be interested. So there are certainly a lot of interesting stuff. And it's possible that many people are holding their breath in some ways, which explains why the cryptocurrency market and Bitcoin in general are essentially flat right now as they wait to see what will happen. But a merge is what we're no longer waiting for, and this has obviously been postponed, delayed. In the meantime, what was previously planned for September 19th is now kind of potentially happening then. Additionally, the Bellatrix upgrade will take into effect on September 6th. This update is now in charge of starting the rest of the merge process. One of the likely factors for why Ethereum started to rise again after most recently falling below 1600, it is now above 1700. There are basically three things that could happen with Ethereum, and I've already discussed this in a previous video. If you're interested in watching it, I'll provide the link above, but it will essentially be a turning point for Ethereum. And what is ahead? In either case, the merge triggering terminal default toll difficulty value is anticipated to occur between September 10th and September 20th. There will, therefore, undoubtedly be a small amount of a process before this may fully take place. In any case, we're moving along quite well. September 6th is only 2 weeks away, so it seems absurd to imagine that it is already here. Anyway, it's clear that there is an outside of justice merge taking place when you kind of see some of the specifics and take into account the fact that Ethereum is heading upwards. Ethereum has specific levels that, if it were to break above them, would send it not necessarily to the moon but would unquestionably result in a sharp increase in the token price. Therefore, as stated here on Bitcoin.com, should the rise continue with exit close to 1800 as its target, there will be many who predict that the Ethereum will increase after the merge, rising over 2,000 and eventually reaching 3,000. 10,000, some people claim? No, obviously, from a price viewpoint, It really doesn't matter what happens to Ethereum after the merger, it's more about how the public views and perceives Ethereum. Remember that Vitalik Buterin stated that only 55% of Ethereum is represented by this, the remaining 45% is still being developed. He is bullish in that area, and I think the statistics are accurate. So there are definitely a lot of awesome things. Additionally, Coinbase unveiled CB-ETH, a wrap-staked Ethereum. That will be a liquid rendition of the staked oath. That is going to be extremely fascinating. Observing how this develops regardless of how their financials appear, Coinbase is still a huge exchange and is undoubtedly a major participant in this market. It's really fascinating for Coinbase to launch something similar. Even with the current volume and liquidity that Coinbase has, it's still significant that they did this for Ethereum. The drama that is involving a little-known cryptocurrency and a tozy is also intriguing and deserving of discussion. Since I don't particularly enjoy drama, Brahma is just a waste of time for me. However, it's an important factor because it has a direct effect on the crypto industry as a whole. Because most people who go into cryptocurrency undoubtedly see a BitBoy video, regardless of whether you like him or not. They are frequently influenced by the YouTubers or the influencer's stance on cryptocurrency because he is one of the most popular crypto YouTubers. As a result, one of the most popular crypto YouTubers sued someone because he didn't like what they said and assumed that the case would be kept private and that no one would learn of it, as if they were still living in the 1960s. Then, as people begin to realize that this is a real issue, become agitated. It is common knowledge. And he receives a ton of criticism over it on Twitter. Yes, of course, you will want to improve your appearance or say, "Hey, I didn't realize this was public. I hoped that this would remain private, but there's going to be public. And it was my fault that I initially filed the complaint." Not quite what he claims. I'm not sure. I mean, I completely concur with Tozy up to a point. Because there are so many dishonest actors in the area, I stopped running promotions on my channel for a variety of reasons. And after that, you really had no control over what they would post. It's entirely up to you whether you want to view this video again. Some of the ATOs find it amusing because he has a terrific personality. In any case, the BitBoy remarked, "I guess I didn't realize that my name is now so well known that if I file a lawsuit, it will be discovered and made public, to some extent." This comment bothers me because it's so haughty. It's quite conceited, as if people were saying, "Oh, I'm so big of a creator." No, your name wasn't called. The Tozy made a video claiming that he was being sued by it, and that was the key factor. As if at that time. Oh, surf's up if BitBoy has filed any cases, downstairs. It's just it's not your name that people enjoy. Basement of my grandmother. No, I did make a video outlining this. CoffeeZilla did the same, right? As a result, it seems evident that I would not have done this if I had known that it would be made public. This tweet completely contradicts the one where he claimed, "If someone lies about me, be sure that I'll make sure that I confront it." So, I think this response is terrible. Our apologies that they do for doing anything wrong are much worse than what YouTube does. They must also release a video apology in which they read from a teleprompter while implying that the lawsuit would be dropped. 100% I apologize, this was made public. I'm sorry, but this was misunderstood. Okay, so in addition to the fact that he gathered more than $200,000 in less than 24 hours to cover his legal costs, I also believe that the BitLad underestimated the level of support he would receive. He will undoubtedly be returning all donors' money. Therefore, I don't think this is a really good lesson for anyone, especially if they are a YouTuber or are not interested in cryptocurrency. However, the issue and the reason I want to address this is that many people become interested in cryptocurrency because of the person they follow. And as a result, people have this notion that they will follow this individual or that they will generally be interested in crypto because of the person who initially gave them that image. Therefore, if someone's first view of you is that they don't like it when people talk poorly about them, when they file lawsuits, or anything similar, that's not a nice first impression for people getting into cryptocurrency from YouTube. How Cardano managed to get some of the highest rankings as the top crypto brand is something that I find to be incredibly puzzling. I'm not entirely sure what this signifies or how much significance the most recent Top Brand Intimacy 2022 study bears. But this is incredibly intriguing because Cardano is ranked above companies like Ford, Adobe, Nvidia, Microsoft, and Amazon. I suppose this is founded on the idea that if you see a brand and think, okay, I purchased the I buy Nike not really for the shoes, but because it's Nike, I get into I buy a BMW, not because it breaks down all the time, then that brand is what you're referring to. But it's even ahead of Bitcoin, which is absurd, just so I can say I have a BMW. And this is what I found to be really fascinating. You yourself may observe that Ethereum is the fourth most personal cryptocurrency brand with a standing of 120. And perhaps what prevents Ethereum from being a really appealing cryptocurrency brand is the fact that metallics, generally don't dress up and look. I mean, if you observed his driving style, perhaps it explains why Ethereum is driven a little bit lower. But this is really fascinating, As you may know, this study claims that a number of developer-led initiatives for Cardano have caused the asset to outperform Bitcoin. In particular, the study claims that Cardano's superior positioning was due to lower investment costs, the ability to reduce risks, and the network's strong branding as a platform for all changemakers. According to the report, Cardano is a blockchain platform for visionaries, changemakers, and innovators that provides them with the tools and technology they need to build possibilities for both the many and the few and bring about beneficial global change. This may help to explain why Cardano is able to establish greater ties and emotional connections with its users. I mean, if you stop to think about it, in many cases people buy or purchase a brand because of an emotional connection, as opposed to just because that thing in and of itself has value, or is better in performance than something else, similar to how people will buy an Apple product, not as some would argue Apple's not as best in technology as some of the other brands out there. However, the status symbol that comes with having an Apple iPhone and spending outrageous amounts on a new one is an emotional connection, correct? So I'm not sure if Cardano's purpose is to create common cart status signals. The majority, though, is drawn to the idea of bringing about constructive world change. Who wouldn't want it, really? Right. Therefore, it's fascinating to see something like this emerge. And I think that will come as a shock to many. Most people probably wouldn't have anticipated that, but it's also interesting. According to one story, ATMs may be where Bitcoin sees the biggest uptake. You probably wouldn't think of this as the method that Bitcoin expands, but it's actually very intriguing. In a way, it's like a behind-the-scenes activity. What's more, Bitcoin Depot, the largest operator of cryptocurrency ATMs, announced plans to float on the Nasdaq and enter a special acquisition agreement. SPAC, special, or anything comparable, stands for that. Although they receive a lot of money from a shell business, they have over 7,000 ATM locations across the US and Canada. It's crazy to consider that they probably control roughly 21 or 20% of the market worldwide. However, it's extremely intriguing to observe how ATMs are being adopted. I've mentioned in a few previous posts how much growth is occurring on the adoption side of Bitcoin, specifically through Bitcoin ATM machines. It's truly bizarre. However, the story and some of the facts it covered were quite interesting. But very, very interesting, I think something like this, you walk into a store, you walk into the mall, and you see something like this, something like this is definitely going to get someone's attention when it comes to getting involved with cryptocurrencies, specifically Bitcoin. So, that's basically where things are at the moment. Of course, the markets are sort of holding their breath. In several ways. There will undoubtedly be an Ethereum pump, in my opinion. September will likely bring about a further spike in the price of Ethereum tokens. In any case, I'd be interested in hearing your predictions about what might transpire. Using Ethereum? Is it really going to cost more than $2,000, you know? Or is the most of the fanfare already in place, and when the merger actually occurs, most people will simply sell? What do you think about using GPUs and the next most lucrative cryptos? What about Pump 2? Are they simply going to succumb to the hype that has been applied to them and sell off? Because, in the past 2 months or so, some of them have achieved 100% or more. And after the merger, will those be sold off? Please share your opinions with me. I'd love to hear your thoughts, but please smash up the like button and, if you haven't already, consider subscribing. This is a big deal, as you are aware.